A very good evening, everybody. Friday night football from the Illingdon Sports Centre in round 5 of the NPL New South Wales men's. And two of the academy sides meeting to begin the round. Sydney FC hosting the Central Coast Mariners, with both looking to rise up the table in the early stages of the season. A great pleasure to have your company wherever you're watching tonight on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. We've got plenty of action to come over the weekend. We've had midweek fixtures all over the place, and we've got plenty of action to come here tonight as well. Sydney FC's team news, we'll get straight to that for Jim Van Wieren, because they've got a quick turnaround, having had just a day off between their game tonight and their loss to Hills United on Wednesday night. He makes 4 changes from that team. In goal again is number 20, Adam Pavlicic. Number 3, Tyler Williams starts in the heart of defence with number 4, Joey Kalisic. Number 5, Richard Nkomo. Number 6, Dylan Rose. Number 8, Lachlan Middleton. Number 9, Bailey Callahan. Number 10, Thiago Quintal. Number 11, Maran France. Number 13, Jacob Rossetti. And number 21, Zach De Jesus completes the lineup tonight. For the Central Coast Mariners, a bit of a longer break. No midweek football for them, so they've had a nice long rest between their win over that same opposition last Saturday and the game here tonight down south in Rockdale. They've made 2 changes from that team, which won 5-3, their first victory of the season last weekend. In goal tonight, number 1, Jack Wachowski comes in. Number 2, Michael Paragali. Number 3, Sher Deng. Number 4, Andre Parks. Number 5, Harry Menem. Number 7, Matej Busek. Number 18, Lucas Silaluna. Number 10, Lucas Smythe, the former Sydney FC player. Number 11, Don Niankuru. Number 12, Tay Headley. And number 37, the young Socceroo, Bailey Brantsman. So motivation for both tonight. Sydney FC and the Mariners really have had quite a bit of turnover from the academy sides. Not that that's unusual at this level, but the Mariners particularly have put together such a fine run with their academy sides over the past 5 years under the stewardship first of Nick Montgomery and then a couple of others that have come through, including Andrew Christensen and Abbas Saad. Lucas Villela is the new man in charge. Josh Rose, his assistant. Familiar name within this terrific community club. Sydney FC have a rather more stable, I guess, position at the helm. Jim Van Wieren's been in that position for a number of years now. A new crop of players for him to develop. And it's good to see them in action on both sides tonight. Alex Molchanoff along with you for this call, Friday Night Football. And if that's anything to go by, this might be a little bit of a testy one between the two A-League men's academy rivals. What was a slow start to the season for the Mariners, 2 straight losses. It was halted on Saturday with a big win. They've been a free scoring side, 7 goals across those 3 games. They've been in fine goal scoring form, particularly in the form of Lucas Smythe, who starts tonight against his old club. Another player, become a little bit of a more frequent occurrence than probably Sydney FC would have liked. Players seem to move away and kick on with their careers. A number of the players who have kicked on to the A-League men's first team and played on the weekend are out tonight. They include Mitch Glasson. Dr. Jesus has stayed in the team. Haven't seen any of Hayden Matthews after his call up to the first team, alongside the man who featured here at this level plenty of times last season, Jake Girdwood-Wright. It's been the start of Sydney FC trying to keep a lot of possession of the football, but the Mariners are happy to put plenty of pressure on them. Nodding the ball forward now to Smythe. Let's see his size alongside his direct opponent there. They go back through him again. He was searching for Rusek. Didn't end up finding him at his feet, and Menem's able to just head back all the way to his goalkeeper, Wachowski, former Western Sydney Wanderers academy player. This is a couple of those that have floated around different A-League academies. In action again tonight. Ball out there from the Mariners. It's picked off by Lockie Middleton. Rossetti back to Jesus, and now the Sky Blues have their first period of calm possession, if you want to call it that. Plenty of energy and plenty of goals tonight. The Mariners getting the win in the 20s fixture before this one. 4-0 win, which they were convincingly the better side. Only Callahan is stretching his legs for this one. He's managed to get there ahead of the Central Coast defence, but then turned it over. Joe Deng doing the defending, and he did it nicely. Now turning out of trouble is Tay Headley. Into the side tonight, didn't start last weekend. Cluna's turned it over. Well, Sydney FC can try and catch out their opponents on the break. That one's well read by Andre Parks, who had it covered all the way. Clearance hasn't dispelled any signs of danger, though. Mariners did well to pick it up and try and get themselves going forward again. Headley, who's popped up on the right-hand side now, but couldn't keep that one in. Murin looks as though he's committed to this 4-4-2 formation again tonight. It's a system Sydney have been playing consistently over the past 2 or 3 seasons, regardless of the turnover of the squad. Tyler Williams entrusted with the responsibility of playing out tonight. Middleton did well to find Brazzetti, who's turned and running at the defence. Callahan's going to look to get off the shoulder all night. Couldn't find the ball into the middle after the clever run. Billy Brentman has turned it over. Uncharacteristic error from the youngster. Gintal was trying to turn inside the area. He had a good first day out here a couple of weeks ago, getting a brace against Manly United in their 2-0 win in round 2. Harry Menem with the long hair, easily identifiable, doing the defending. Eluded the first man, hasn't eluded Smythe, who's happy to wrestle with his defender, Tyler Williams. Those two are really going at it. Smythe's managed to win out eventually. Took 2 or 3 goes, but he got there. And wearing the captain's armband tonight, Lachlan Middleton was able to get across in cover. Lovely turn from Marin France to get his side going forward. Advantage played by the referee, but then it's turned over. There's been a lot of that. It's been a theme of the game early in this one. As we tick past the 5-minute mark. Been an engaging watch, and Smythe's off the shoulder here, through on goal, and a very good save from Pavlicic, who was out quickly to cover. One of the best goalkeepers in this division for the past couple of seasons, young or old, and showing us why there. Had to be sharp against his former teammate who'd rolled off the shoulder. Lucas Smythe's showed us all these tools early. Able to get the ball to feet. He's got the size for a hold-up man, but then a clever little duck in behind, which gave the Mariners the first meaningful chance of the match. Well, they got the first corner as a reward. How many will they commit forward at this early stage? Couple in there. Kuru is right on the toes of Pavlicic. The ball never reached him, though. And a half-hearted effort back in. Deng's going to chase it down, though. Touch from Brazzetti means the Mariners throw. Interesting complexion of the early season table. The Western Sydney Wanderers not traditionally one of the strongest academy sides, sit highest in the early stages. They're due for that make-up midweek fixture against the Mariners in a couple of Tuesdays' time. They sit the highest at the moment. Both these teams coming into the game off the back of some mixed performances. You could probably expect that from the academy sides. Some worry about the Mariners this year with the turnover of a lot of experienced youth players, and that's a funny thing to say, but it is something young men who've been playing against older players for a longer period of time often do bring something, but it's another talented crop Vilela's got at his disposal. They've showed that through their free-flowing attacking football. It's the other end. They've just got to shore up a little bit. Same can be said for Sydney FC, although they've managed to keep a couple of clean sheets in the early stages of this season. looking to play out from the back here, the Sky Blues. He's come from Middleton. He's happy to go all the way back to Pavlicic. Looks as though the Mariners have matched Sydney in formation tonight. It's a 4-4-2 they've been deploying in the early season as well. Striding out from the back is Kalisic. To the left-hand side, but it's been turned over. Getting an imposing figure defensively. He's pretty trusty with the ball at his feet as well. Andre Parks as well. It's a bit of an aimless ball forward, though. After an enthused start from both sides, the game just settles into its tempo a little. As perhaps we expect. Back, the Mariners not completely coming out of their shape. They're happy to let Sydney FC have it in their own half. Quintal trying to time his run across field, but he's been caught offside. Partner and Callahan up front, both players that can get in behind. Quintal probably closer to a traditional number 10, which he wears on his back. He likes to get deep into midfield and turn and face and engage defenders, make them, force them rather into decisions. It's a good ball out from Wachowski. Young Socceroo. Played out to the right with a space for Paragali. Through the midfield with Chapluna. And was trying to get forward. He was cut off by his direct opponent, Brazetti. He's still going to be going toe-to-toe up and down this near side all evening. Clever touch from Smythe, just needed a willing runner. Dushek was trying to be that, but couldn't reach the football ahead of the Sky Blues. A footed clearance from Kalisic. It was a little bit of a clumsy challenge. The second one was worse, but Sydney FC is still going to come away with the football. Sprints in towards goal now, and numbers. Callahan looking for it in the middle. And turned over in a very bad area by the Mariners. He appeals for a free kick, followed by appeals for a little bit more. The first yellow card of the game. It's going to go the way of Andre Parks for, I think, a second of those two fouls up around halfway, the 17-year-old. Former Wanderers connection, another one of those with Jack Wachowski that's made their way across, or up the coast rather, from Western Sydney. Marconi Jr. finds himself in the notebook early. They had 2 or 3 cracks there, the Mariners, to try and stop that attack in its tracks. Weren't quite able to. Now a big opportunity from Thiago Quintal, who loves these sorts of situations. 4 in a very tall wall for Wachowski. Deng and Smythe and Parks all in there. And the left boot deliver goes straight into it. And you fancy it might have got over a few other walls in the competition, not tonight. It's one of those little advantages. I'll tell you what, Mate Dushek was in that wall as well. He's no shorty, the left winger. He's just grabbing at a quad muscle by the looks of things. So that doesn't develop into anything more serious. Managed to win the ball in dispute through midfield. Tay Headley's got plenty of quality about him. He's searching for the run of Don Niokuru. His pace will trouble most defences in this competition. Let's give the Skies Blues defence a little bit too much of a head start there. Here's Richard Nkomo, starting at left back tonight again for Sydney FC. He's featured in every one of their matches so far this season. Kalisic forming a good little duo down the left. As Quintal, I mentioned, he'll look to duck into spaces like this. All the Play to the other side. De Jesus. Kalisic again. Gonna try his show off his ball playing ability. Kittel trying to make something of it. Parks was in the way. Had a clear from Kalisic from his long ball has only fallen for Niakuru. He's got a few in the middle to aim for if he can get his head up. He's looking to dart in there himself. Lovely touch from Smythe, back for Niakuru. And not for the first time tonight, Pavlicic is out to smother. He felt the ball took a deflection back off the Mariners winger as well. Protesting with the assistant referee on the far side. It's going to be to no avail though. Another Mariners corner. So the Tall Timber make their way forward again. Plenty of sky blue. In fact, every sky blue shirt back inside the box. And Pavlicic, that struck the frame of his goal, believe it or not. I think he may have had it covered, but he certainly had his heart in his mouth for a moment. They're going to get a second bite at the cherry here, the visitors. And going for the spectacular was Mate Pusek. Didn't quite catch it as he would have liked. Pavlicic can breathe a sigh of relief. Not quite getting the support in front of him. I think that he, like in the opening quarter of an hour. The Mariners have won it back in their defensive line again. Menem turning away from trouble. Ball's cut out. That was a rather loose one from Andre Parks. The two central defenders have both been launching the two balls forward from deep possessions. This time it's Tyler Williams' turn. His opposite number in Deng immediately to cut it out. Probably say the Mariners have edged the first 15 minutes, but it's been a close run thing. And there are periods when they've aimed for Lucas Smythe up front, but striking the frame of the goal, some would count as a close opportunity, although the situation didn't quite suggest exactly the same thing. Time to play out for Tyler Williams. Kittel ducking into that little gap between defence and midfield again. Perhaps a little fortunate. He drew the referee's whistle. It's a loose touch as he came back into his own half, but gets away with it with some clever body work. Como looking direct. Nice ball for Middleton. Looking up wides again for the figure. The left winger in sky blue, couldn't find it. Shorty's ball forward was rather easily cut out by Kalisic. We've seen a lot of this in the opening 20 minutes. Both teams trying to pry their way through well-structured opposition midfield and defences. Hasn't been a standout player to just take this game by the scruff of the neck. That was a nice bit of industry though from Niakuru, and manages to win his side the free kick right on halfway. Other games coming to you on NPL TV with the Football New South Wales YouTube page. Look at the tongue from me there. Going back to last year. Far more accessible where we are now. Sutherland Sharks taking on Sydney Olympic tomorrow at 4:30. We'll hold that thought because the Mariners are making a foray forward. This is a good ball for Harry Menem. Can he deliver? Was well read the whole way by Tyler Williams, who got there in the nick of time. There were Mariners bodies lining up in the middle for a chance on goal. Not to be. But a third corner of this first half for the visitors, who've had the better of the play as we approach the 20-minute mark. Again, they send numbers forward. Sydney FC have thrown everyone back It's curled in, again trying to put the pressure on Pavlicic. I'm not sure that's the way to attack this goalkeeper. He's got maturity beyond his years in terms of claiming balls around the edge of his 6-yard box. He's quite comfortable coming out to catch balls like that. Smythe trying to be clever with the dummy. He was just on a slightly different page to Pusek. That's a nice touch from De Jesus. Not darting inside is Quintal. You see the quality of this youngster. Striding forward now, Sydney. And numbers in the box to support the shot, which was fairly easily saved in the end by Wachowski. Rather than try and bend the effort. To catch him out at his near post, Morin France. Did well to make the run in behind, and he's just hobbling as he gets back up from the challenge on the end of all that. And Como knew exactly what he'd done there. He won the challenge and the throw. A piece of play from the Sydney FC left back. They've churned a few of them out through their academy down the years. De Jesus, the latest that's made his A-League debut. Ryan Grant, of course, is at the other end of his career, but he took the very early stages of this path before there really was an academy through which to come. Good to see the A-League side of Sydney FC follow the trend, really, that was started by the Mariners in terms of bringing players through this level of football, through the youth sides in the NPL, up into the first team. They've done that with great success over the last couple of years. Ballard, one that comes to mind, alongside his midfield partner, Josh Nisbet. Taking the Mariners back up the table again this season after so many losses in key positions. Many thought they'd fall, especially with the departure of Nick Montgomery. Hasn't been the case after a slow start from Mark Jackson. Jesus taking his time over that throw. That's probably an understatement. Eventually gets it back in play. Right in front of the Mariners bench too, so that was drawing one or two protests, as you can imagine. Brody Merchant, the referee tonight, eventually getting him to restart. It's another foul through midfield as the Mariners turn it over in a poor area. This has been a common curse for them through the first month of the season. Foul manages to hold up the Sky Blues, who might have appealed for more. Well, this game's been played in a good spirit to this point. I haven't seen too much of that from players from either side. Quintal running directly over the football, almost so to scare his teammates away. Takes some guts to have an effort from here. Does go short, zipped it in towards Callahan. Good piece of defending from Ante Bushek, who's done his fair share of work, both in the attacking and defensive halves. Nice touch from Callahan. Mazzetti couldn't get on the end of it, but Como's going to make something of this on the far side. He and Kura going right at it and still keeping at it in front of the supporters on the far side. There were a couple of young Rockdale Islanders players over there during the 20s match. I think they've since departed. Committed fans that have turned up here on a Friday night to watch their two youth sides. It's been impressive in this opening quarter of the match. Another ball and cutting it out. You can say the same of Sydney FC's left back, and Richard and Como. This is Industry that won the ball back, and then eventually Sydney FC win the free kick as well. Williams trying to dribble his way out of trouble. Eventually found Brazzetti. Pursued by Shapluna. Mariners had a touch of the football but turned it straight back over. This is Sydney FC captain on the night, Lachlan Middleton. Moving over from Oscar Priestman, who occupied that position for so long, now with the Western Sydney Wanderers and making his name in the A-League men's as well. Looking to follow that path. He did well to shrug off the attentions of Shakluna. And then he ran into him again, but the free kick's been blown on the far side for Paragali's challenge. Sydney FC have another free kick. Just starting to turn the tide a little bit. It's the Mariners who had the better of the early stages in this one. The Sky Blues have had their best period of the match in the last 5 minutes. Como's ball in, swirling up there. It's a good knockdown though. It's given a chance for Quintal, and then striking it was Dylan Rose. Striding out at midfield, didn't catch it as he would have liked, and the ball trickles behind for a Mariners goal kick. One team's trying to play, they're just suffering under the presses of the other defence, having the better of attack in these early stages, which is perhaps not quite what we expected. The Mariners did look improved in their win over Hills on Saturday. I think, the flag was always going to go up there against Kuru. Can you see the threat he offers, though? He's, I'd posit, the quickest player on the pitch by some margin. Someone trying to attack that channel between Kalisic and Nkomo on Sydney FC's left-hand side. Something they'll need to consistently be aware of as this game wears on. Jesus' touch was loose, uncharacteristically so. The ball did put him in a bit of an awkward position. He had to get it exactly right. That was a lovely touch from Smythe, and now striding towards goal is Bushak. He's looking for that man again, Ian Kuru. I feel one will fall for him in the... Well, he'll hope by the time we get to the break. Well marshalled to this point by Sydney FC as De Jesus just carrying that one for a little longer than the sideline would allow. For the second time in a matter of moments. Jim Van Wieren is up off his bench for the first time this evening. Cool, calm character, the Sydney FC youth skipper. Mariners playing some good stuff. I mentioned Sydney FC were having a good period. The Mariners have answered with some tidy football through the middle of the park. They're just lacking that final killer ball at the moment. Strong play from Callahan, who had Deng all over him. Doesn't get the free kick, but does get the throw. Sydney FC will just give themselves a breather. This game's been played at a frantic pace. It's still warm here in the south of Sydney. Mid-20s when this game kicked off, and what's been a hot day. Expecting very warm temperatures across the weekend. Warm's probably an understatement. We're just getting into the high 30s. We'll see if any of those senior kickoffs end up being delayed. The 3 o'clock kickoff I think we've got on Sunday between Blacktown City and the Wollongong Wolves. Should be an engaging encounter nonetheless. That the heat doesn't take any of the fire out of it. Two teams that have started the season very well, both finding themselves towards the top end of this early season table. Sydney FC trying to join them. Tiago Quintal turning that ball over at the crucial moment. That's such a cool piece of work. As he retreated back after making the run forward, Tyler Williams has come out to France. In fact, it's Quintal out there, and Como. France is just switching positions. What an effort from Tiago Quintal. Good reactions from Wachowski once and twice to tip the ball onto his crossbar. Sterling work from the Mariners goalkeeper, and without him, they might trail. It was an awkward one, the second one for France, because the ball was behind him and sort of looping towards him. He did well to generate any sort of power. Wachowski recovering well on his line from the initial effort from Quintal, which was spectacular and very close to giving Sydney FC the opening goal. Closest either side have come, I'd say, intentionally. Mariners have struck the frame of the goal direct from a corner. Wachowski making the first meaningful saves of the match. Ball's whipped in, had good shape, but there was no blue shirt attacking it. He was having a second bite at dealing with it. Smythe was back there doing some defensive work, and he was fouled in the process. You can see why Sydney FC fans are excited about Tiago Quintal. We saw his talent on display in the opening game of the season when he bagged that, the opening home game of the season, I should say, when he bagged that double against St George FC. So after a goalless first up draw against Spirit, defence not been quite as much of an issue for Sydney FC, and Kintal has just pulled off another brilliant piece of skill, nutmegging Scicluna as he came over to cover, and then driving towards the goal was France, brought down inches outside the penalty area. Brodie Merchant had a very good view, and was certain with his decision. France starting to grow into the game now as well, darting and weaving his way at defenders. All Paragali could do there was put his foot out and hope that something stopped. The ball or the man. He got the second, which will do for now, but now the Mariners have got some defending to do from this set piece. Two-man committee. Kintal, of course, is there, and Como alongside him. Don't think it'll be him somehow. No, guess he's right. Kintal. Imagine the shape he's getting on those crosses. That was another beauty. And the Sydney FC players were certain it had come off a Mariners head. Referee and his assistant on the near side, Hayden McElmere, had a different view. Up in the air. Smythe was trying to buy the foul and he got it. Smart piece of work. It's going to be difficult for De Jesus to do the defensive work there with the size difference and the ball in the air. Have to turn. Ball back to Wachowski, draws the press. That might just advantage the Mariners a little bit if they're able to shift it quickly. It's come out to Andre Parks. 18-year-old Queensland native. Played that ball forwards, searching for Brantman. He's been the star of the last couple of weeks for the Mariners, but he's been a peripheral figure early in this one. Looking to get him on the ball a little bit more consistently. Playing as Smythe's strike partner tonight. Striding out of defence. Sydney FC captain Middleton searching for Brazetti. Eventually swept away by the Mariners. That was a less impressive touch from Middleton. It's allowed the Mariners to get running the other way through Scicluna. Lovely vision to pick out the man on the far side. Juszek has floated out there. He's well cut off by Nkomo before he could get too far towards the Sydney FC goal. Game that is hanging right on a nice edge at the moment. Both teams having their periods of momentum. Both trying to play through each other. As a neutral has been a good watch. Plenty of pressure defensively as well. It's Brantman over in that far corner. Short man, but he's a tricky little wigger. In fact, it wasn't him, it was the even shorter Tay Headley over there. Eventually turned it over. Scicluna's coming more and more into this game as the first half wears on. Screening in front of his back four to win the ball back. If there is one trend in the Mariners play at the moment that probably frustrate their coaching staff just a little, has been their willingness to retreat when there might be a forward option. Confirmed we've seen that switch of wings because Niankuru's popped up on the left and he's driving forward in the place where Juszek was standing initially. Foul goes against Sydney FC. Callahan a little overzealous in his efforts to win the ball back. Taken quickly as well. Bent over the top cleverly. Had to be aware there, Kaljasic, and read the play well. That's a lovely dink touch. Again from Scicluna, showing off all that talent. Oh, that's a lovely ball, but Brantman had picked up an offside position. Beautiful bit of vision from Juszek to pick him out. He just stepped too early. Past the half hour mark. Just over 10 minutes to play in the first 45. Sydney FC have come closest. The double chance for Kintal. And then France. Double save from Wachowski. And now showing off his pace is Niankuru, who's got the wrong side of the defence. Needs support, or will he go himself? He made contact with De Jesus, and the penalty is given by Merchant. Protests inevitably follow from Sydney FC, but it won't matter. The pace of Niankuru which had caused them problems down the right, causes a fatal error on the left. De Jesus not able to stay in the foot race. Found himself too close to the Mariners winger and brought him down. Fairly straightforward decision for Brody Merchant, who had a good view. And now the man who's been so deadly from the penalty spot. Last season in sky blue, this season in bright yellow. Aiming for the net that shares the colour of his team against his former teammate Pavlicic. How well does he know him from all those penalties in training? It's Lucas Smythe for the Mariners, and it's unerring. Thumps it into the corner, and the visitors take the lead at the Illingdon Sports Centre. An emphatic penalty, never looked like missing. Sent Pavlicic the wrong way and stuck it right in the corner. He would have had a difficult time keeping it out even if he had gone the right way. And it's the former Sydney FC player who's got 4 in 4 to start the season. That mid-season switch is ringing results for Lucas Smythe. He's a happy man at the Mariners, and so are his team, because he's given them a 1-0 lead. Credit, of course, as well to Don Niakuru, whose energy and industry and pace above anything else got him into the box and won inside the penalty kick. Fantastic stuff. What a backheel there from France to find De Jesus, trying to make up for his error. And he was tugging at the shirt of Harry Manham the whole way. Eventually brought him down. That speaks to the character of Zach De Jesus, and he's willing to get back up there, but it's his mistake that has led to the goal. And the Mariners taking the lead. Kuru perhaps anticipating the contact, but it was certainly there. More than enough for a penalty kick. Well-timed challenge from Kalisic. And Como with a little bit of a loose touch, which allowed Brantman to read and win. Lovely touch from Bruciak. And the pass didn't match that. Here comes from Como. It's a beautiful bit of vision to square it up for Tyler Williams, who had plenty of green grass to run into. Artificial turf here at Illingdon Sports Centre. Sydney FC returning here as their home ground after spending last year up at the Football New South Wales headquarters in Glenwood at Valentine Sports Park. The ground they have used as their home before. 3 teams using this as their base this season in the top tier of the NPL New South Wales after St George FC's promotion from League One last year. And Sydney FC find an equaliser before half-time. It would give them such a boost. I still feel they're well and truly in the game, but the Mariners have got that goal, which is often so critical. France ducking inside. Looking to get the ball back off his captain, Middleton. The pass was overhit and happily watched behind by the Mariners' defence. Just joining us, Alex Morchanoff with you on this Friday night on NPL New South Wales first grade duties, Football New South Wales YouTube page. Thank you very much for your company tonight. You have just joined us. You've missed the opening goal of the game. Lucas Smythe scoring from the penalty spot. His 4th goal in 4 games to start this NPL New South Wales season. After a darting run into the box from the 17-year-old Don Niakuru, who's trying to break the line again here. Timed his run to perfection, and then managed to win inside the corner as well. Lauren France having to track all the way back, and the Mariners' goal has given them some confidence with which to grow into the end of this first half. Ball's played deep, and Pavlicic again watching the ball sail onto his crossbar. He did manage to get a touch on that. Had to make sure it was not dropping underneath it. There was no protest, so a clear touch. Through unusual circumstances, the Mariners get a follow-up corner. Second goal here would be a real gut punch for Sydney FC, who feel like they've been in this game to this point. Mariners have probably edged it and deserve their lead as they go direct, and another in-swinging effort. Pavlicic diving back inside his own goal, but he's never going to get past the side netting. It's a little bit too much whip on that one. Straying away from playing out now, the Sky Blues. Just happy to launch this high into the night sky is Pavlicic. Oh, there's a crowd of three bodies around it, but it's the Mariners right back. Pregame, who was happy to get forward. One of a few making their way up the coast from Canberra. From a Gungahlin United player. Another of those is the Mariners reserve goalkeeper tonight. Korea's Cullen. Touchdown was a little bit loose from Lachlan Middleton, who's just found the pressure the Mariners have been applying on him as this half has worn on, a little bit more difficult to deal with. Deng has had no problems with the pace of the game to this point. He just takes one touch, two from the Sydney FC skipper. Buys his team the free kick. And a little breather as we approach the break. Deng's ball over the top. Nyakuru is becoming a very, very big problem for Sydney FC. Darting inside, away from defenders, and just sliding it the wrong side of the post. Jim Van Wieren is up off his seat in his technical area, wondering just how he was afforded that much space. My goodness, does he look dangerous when he's able to stretch his legs. Another one that the Mariners scouting system has brought up to them from Adelaide, Croatia, in the NPL South Australia. He's having fun in the top tier of New South Wales football. His first season with the club. Headley turning into a little bit of trouble there. That's a better ball from Middleton. Allred running back towards his own goal from Pregame as though. Able to clear, see off the danger. Brody Merchant just wants that second ball removed as we approach the break. Forward fake. Shikluna. Smythe is a willing chaser, and he's managed to get there ahead of Tyler Williams at the back. Now as he got support, he's just shrugged him off. Wants to release now with a couple of yellow shirts joining him. Still he battles on, eventually taken off his toe. And Sydney FC win the free kick. It's been interesting here. Do see some of these games turn into fiery ones. The Mariners had a very fiery opening fixture up at Bloom Park against Sydney United 58. One which Harry Menem only returns from tonight after being sent off. That sparked pretty much a free-for-all towards the end of that game. Patrick Antelmi found himself in some serious trouble. Sydney United still feeling the effects of losing him until midweek. 3 games he was set to serve on the sidelines after being sent off at that little fracas. Mariners have shown none of the appetite to get involved in that sort of thing since. Perhaps a learning lesson for them. Sydney FC might just need a spark of something like that in this second half. Energy's gone out of their play a little bit. This first half has worn on. Certainly hasn't affected a player like Cher Deng, who's just looked completely unflustered by anything that's been thrown at him to this point. Callahan was a willing runner at him early, but he's faded out of the game. He's managed to get on the ball here though, Bailey Callahan. Quintal. Say similar of. Influential early. Mariners have been able to limit his influence since. Rose turning away from players. Puts it back, Quintal's touch. Callahan was coming towards the football, but he never really got it under his spell. Eventually, Mariners boots in there, and Jack Wachowski's able to play, just take the heat out of the situation. Mariners look as though they'll be more than happy for half-time at the moment. Lovely touch from Brantman. Wachowski playing right back in his own 6-yard box. Forced to clear. France won the header. Quintal looking up with Callahan. It's Thiago Quintal. Straight at Wachowski, who was well positioned at his near post. Took him a couple of goes together, but he's never really in any danger of being beaten. The Mariners' goal, up from a couple of early forays forward, has really been their only meaningful chance of the game. A couple of times Pavlicic has been called to come out of his goal and smother balls. A player running on a tight angle at him. Certainly they've created enough headaches for the Sydney FC defence, particularly as the first half's worn on. Happy with their lead, it seems, at the moment. Well structured. I mentioned that defence had been a little bit of a problem so far this season. 8 goals conceded in their first 3 games. Sydney FC have not created anything consistently of danger, although Callahan's running behind had Deng worried enough to bring him down. Which was the second yellow card of the game. As both Mariners centre halves are now on bookings. The 18-year-old Deng joins Andre Parks on a yellow card. So just a little subscript to keep an eye on. Certainly the Sydney FC coaching staff would have taken notice of that. And so Sydney FC's turn to test the Mariners from a set piece. I've had the opposite scenario presented to them quite a few times. Quintal probably in position A1 in terms of where he wants to put a ball in. Instead, the touch is taken short and he just dinks it over the top. That made things easier for him coming in off the angle. In fact, it was De Jesus who was entrusted to try that little bit of trickery. He was able to pull it off this time around. Mariners will take their time over the goal kick. Neither side's been particularly in a hurry about getting on with things from stoppages of play like this. As I mentioned there, Sydney FC wanted to take that quickly. De Jesus feinting once or twice that he was going to return the ball to play. Instead, they've turned it over. And a chance for Nyakuru to get him behind again. Pavlicic right on the edge of his box, and Nyakuru just failed to time his run. Beautiful finish from Scicluna, but it's not going to count. Can Sydney FC find an equaliser before the break? Not with a touch like that, although the challenge from Scicluna was, well, it wasn't gentle, let's put it that way. France ducking inside. Certainly no intent behind it, he was just trying to strike the football, but would have felt that one, Marin France. So one last chance. There's a Mariners player down on the turf here. It's Lucas Smythe returning to his feet gingerly. He's going to be required here because his height is as much of an asset in his own penalty area as it is in the attacking half. Another set piece to defend for the visitors. Curling back towards the captain, Lockie Middleton, and Brodie Merchant says that will be the last action of the first half, in which the Mariners forced a couple of good saves from Pavlicic in the early stages before a double save from their own goalkeeper, Jack Wachowski, from efforts first of Thiago Quintal. followed up by Marin France, were both capped out before the direct running of Donni and Kuru really became a factor. He won the penalty, drawing the challenge from Zach De Jesus with just over 10 minutes to play in this first half. It was coolly converted by the former Sky Blue Lucas Smythe, who has 4 goals in his first 4 games this season for the Mariners, and as such they take a lead into the break as the players head down the sheds at half-time here at the Illingdon Sports Centre. It's Sydney FC 0, Central Coast Mariners 1. Welcome back to the Illingdon Sports Centre. Alex Molchanoff with you for tonight's Friday night clash between the Central Coast Mariners and Sydney FC. The visitors taking a 1-0 lead just about 10 minutes before the break. Lucas Smythe converting from the penalty spot. A well-taken penalty, it must be said, after the 17-year-old Don Niankuru's enterprising run ended with him being fouled by Zach De Jesus in the penalty area. And a spot kick going the way of the Mariners, one which upset the Sky Blues, but was probably just rewards for the first period of play from the Mariners, who've looked the brighter. And you'll understand if Jim Van Wieren rings the changes at the break after just 2 days turnaround from their Wednesday night clash against Hills United. We're about to get back underway. We'll bring those subs to you as they come to us. Looks as though Zach De Jesus has been the first to make way after giving away that spot kick in the first period. There's already a renewed vigour about the way Sydney FC are moving the football around. They're a little bit ponderous with it as the first half wore on. They probably had the edge in terms of the possession battle in the early stages, but they were pinged back by the Mariners, who put together a good middle period in which the goal came for them. Forced a couple of other saves from Adam Pavlicic in the Sky Blues goal as well. They've been the ones that have been able to make the impact on the scoreboard so far. Looking for their first clean sheet of the season. They've not been able to register one of those. If they're able to tonight, it'll mean all 3 points and a little jump up the table after what was a slow start and 2 straight losses to begin the season. But there's plenty of players there to give them headaches, not least Tiago Quintal, who's got onto this ball and eventually looked as though he'd got away from Deng, who stretched out a long leg and put it behind. Good start for the Sky Blues, exactly what the doctor ordered for them after the break. Well, they've got to show all their character on this quick turnaround. Young legs probably won't affect them quite as much as it would some other teams in this competition, but certainly a factor against the much fresher Mariners, who were without midweek football. The midweek clash against the Mariners coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Can that freshness give them all 3 points tonight? Jacob Razzetti, who was prominent early but faded out of the game a little bit towards the end of the first half. Getting back on the ball there and darting in field. Plenty of players with pace and technique in this Sydney FC side. Really extends all the way to their back line, where Nkomo and Kalisic, who are playing the ball between them here, drawing the press of the Mariners. As though Noah Matti has been the change for De Jesus. The only one I can spot initially as the players have come out from the halftime break. Zach De Jesus, who gave away the penalty, the man removed. And we've seen a bit of time in the A-League men's so far this season as well. Kalisic stretching for that with Brantman. Advantage played by referee Brodie Merchant, and it might pay off for the Sky Blues. Callahan, and well caught. A good save from Rashorski, added to by the fact he managed to hang on and not offer up a rebound. Good piece of goalkeeping. He's just had have a little bit of awareness about him, the former Western Sydney Wanderer. He's not being helped out by his players in front of him there. A very poor turnover and a chance for Rose to get the shot away. It was blocked as it travelled towards goal. It was heading on target. Rashorski will be happy that his man did manage to get there. And now the running. Niankuru looked as though it was about to cause Sydney FC more issues. This is the pace we began the game with. Both teams going at each other with hammer and tongs. Faded away a little bit as the first half wore on. Heavy touch from Tiago Quintal, who couldn't chase down his own ball there. The Mariners see off the first wave of Sydney FC pressure as they chase the equaliser here. Illingdon Sports Centre. Lobbed up in the air, and there's a flood of yellow bodies getting forward, but Tyler Williams beating them all to the football. Very nice touch from Shikluna. A lovely vision from Kalisic to break the press as a couple of Mariners made their way towards him. It's provided space for Nkomo. Now Callahan. Not dissimilar in physical makeup to Smythe. Not quite as tall as the Mariners striker. Dotting inside is France, who was looking for his opposite winger in Brazetti, but the ball lost too much of him. Quiet night at the Linden Sports Centre, certainly not as rowdy as the crowd gets here for some of the other home games, particularly when St George FC and Rockdale are down here. Probably the timing of kick-off tonight has affected that a little bit as well, but Sydney FC have got the Friday night home fixtures here this season after making the move back from Valentine Sports Park, which they called home a year ago. Again, there's just a swarm of sky blue bodies that have managed to nick the ball back. Brazetti making his way towards goal. He was looking to get the shot away, and Como in there. Brazetti, side netting only. But the Mariners bench are a little worried by what they've seen in the opening stages of their second half. It's been all sky blue, just not able to make it count on the score sheet to this point. See, Lucas Smythe is so often the man looking to come back onto the football. Wrestled to the ground was Callahan, coming deep to try and play the hold-up man. He's managed to win the free kick. This time another free kick, won by Tyler Williams as he tried to come out of his own half. Lucas Smythe catching him that time. All-time challenge by Paragali. He's managed to release. Then down the right-hand side, another one of the half-time substitutes. Adam Hall, and that one is flashing wide of Pavlisic's net. Very good effort from a long way out. The Mariners fire a warning shot back across the bow of the Sydney FC goal. Pendulum swings have been aplenty so far in this football match. Both teams having their period. Sydney FC continuing to drive forward, and Paragali winning another solid challenge. Last college product. Made his way down to Canberra with Gogarland and scattered down there. He's made his way up to Gosford, continuing his footballing journey. Here's Tyler Williams. Very nice touch in there from Quintal, but it couldn't get Sydney FC going the other way. Bursting forward Paragali, who's really putting his foot down and having an increased influence in this second half. Man who's not been out of the game at all. Nian Kuru darting inside and the link up with that man. Fell down at a critical moment, but Sydney FC will try and win it back. Managed to here. Middleton's ball wide. Brazetti with the most space he's seen so far in the second half. He'll look to come on his right foot. Eventually gets there. Find his opposite winger. France! Belts it into the corner, and Sydney FC's strong start to this second half results in a goal. Cool finish, the crafty work of Brazetti down the left. Playing provider. And we're all square here at the Illinois Sports Centre. Well, Sydney FC knew it was a big moment when they went behind, knew they'd have to bounce back, but either side of half-time, they've had the better of the play, and they get the goal and the equaliser. It's 1-1. Good play from the Sky Blues. It was well finished off. And now the Mariners are going to come under, I'd say, a little bit more sustained pressure because Sky Blues have got their wind in their sails and they've won another free kick on that far side. Mariners just trying to delay this as long as they can. They've had a real blow dealt to them in the early stages of this second half. Two-man committee over the ball. Marin Francis equaliser. And it was influential in the first half. Been more than that in the second. He's been the difference maker. Ball played in by Quintal and it was allowed to skip into the Mariners penalty area. Eventually put behind, but the Sky Blue wave that's going towards the left-hand side of your picture at the moment is continuing. Played short from the corner. I'm not sure that was the advisable option considering all in front of them. And then a cynical challenge from Tyler Williams to bring down Harry Menham, who was bursting forward from left back. And he becomes the first Sky Blue name in the referee's notebook tonight. Second goal of the season for France. After he got the lone goal in a loss here a few weeks ago against St George FC, and now the captain Middleton getting involved in a little bit of a wrestle in the middle. I mentioned there was a certain physicality to the game in the first half, certainly in terms of the press that both teams were applying to the other. It hadn't turned into a fractious atmosphere as it sometimes can do and has done more than a few times over the NPL New South Wales season so far. Game's been played in a physical but a good spirit to this point. Middleton using his physicality to win that ball in midfield. That's a poor turnover there from Kalisic though. That to turn was Shikluna, but his ball didn't find anyone in yellow. The difference makers for the Mariners are being pushed to the periphery while Sydney FC have to play their own way early in the second half. Menham with a smart defensive header. And then a commanding piece of defending from Deng, who's been the pick of the Mariners defenders so far tonight. His coolness on the ball matched by the ability to read the play. He's got a bit more work to do here though, because steaming out of defence was Dylan Rose. But he shot away. It can be an awkward one for the goalkeeper when it skips in front of him a little like that, but Shorski's shown his ability between the sticks, not only tonight, but over the last couple of seasons in the NPL New South Wales men's with the Mariners and the Western Sydney Wanderers. Tell exactly how he's created that spot for himself in the young Socceroos squads that are flying around. At least today, the team for the West Asian Championships, with which the young Socceroos are an invitee under Tony Vidmar. Wachowski will be part of that squad that travel to the Middle East later this year. It's being put under all sorts of pressure at the moment though. Rose getting forward, sliding in was the substitute, Alex Guntunas. Chipped over the top. It's not a name I've called too much in the second half so far. Mate Bushak. And I have called a bit more in Palagali. So Cluna's ball in. Former Wolverhampton Wanderers Academy player. Looping onto the head of Lucas Smythe, who couldn't direct it on goal. We got that all tidied up now, just to change a piece from both sides at half-time. Kalisic playing that one away, easily read by Shikluna. See this battle between the midfield pairings again. Holding his face as he comes forward here, the Sydney FC skipper. That's a real hurter for Lachlan Middleton. Right over his eye and his temple, so Brody Merchant well advised to stop play, which was the desire. In fact, it's Dylan Rose. He's gone down clutching his face. Just a little bit of work to be done. Yeah, there is a bit of blood spouting from the cheek of the Sydney FC skipper. Copped an inadvertent whack in the face there, which, well, that's going to need some serious remedial work. Hopefully it's a cut right on the eyebrow. And in fact, it looks as though the Sydney FC physio is signalling for a sub. That's going to cause some serious claret and some stoppage for impromptu team talks on both sides. Reminder of the fixtures we've got coming up this weekend on NPL, in the NPL New South Wales. I get it out eventually on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. Sutherland Sharks hosting Olympic tomorrow afternoon at 4:30. Rose putting his hands to his face as that both his arms are covered as well. There is quite a bit of blood coming out of there. Seems all right. He's going to make his way off the pitch under his own steam, thankfully. There is going to be a substitution for the Sydney FC though here. Sam Lancaster and a couple of substitutes coming for the Mariners as well. First of those is going to be Ben Mewett, as well as Jordan Small. So coming off for the Mariners, Bushak mentioned that he was looking a little bit leggy. And Bailey Brentman, who's not really been able to put his mark on this game. One of the players we had our eye on heading into the match. Sydney FC have negated his influence pretty well. Dylan Rose has now made his way from the field of play, so I can tell you he's being treated. There's a couple of attentive eyes over him on the Sydney FC bench. I'm sure that bleeding will be stemmed fairly quickly. He'll be patched up. No long-lasting damage. But a nasty one nonetheless. Speaks to his character that he was keen to carry on even with the claret pouring from his temple. Flag raised by the assistant on the near side, with one of the Mariners players coming back to challenge that one from an offside position. If you are just joining us, welcome to the coverage on this Friday night on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. Alex Molchanoff with you for this one. Goals coming courtesy of Lucas Smythe late in the first half from a penalty kick, which he dispatched with little worry past Adam Pavlicic in the Sydney FC goal. Equaliser coming just after the break through Maran France. Set up by his opposite winger, Jacob Rossetti. Cool finish from the youngster for his second goal of the season. Sydney FC are going to try and hope to add to that here. Richard Nkomo over this one. Tiago Quintal's been taken off duties. That's another ball whipped in with good shape, but no Sky Blue head able to really attack it. Ball sprang in by Matzi, and the header was up there from Callahan, I think, who managed to jump highest but couldn't direct the header down. Little subtle adjustments been made by both managers. No real shift in formation from either to this point. Both will be sensing a chance for 3 points as Lockie Middleton dives into the challenge there and gives away the free kick. See pretty clearly there, Sydney FC, when they lose the ball, that's a good example of it. They're quite happy to sit in their two banks of four. Lucas Smythe trying to pick that apart by dropping in and trying to win the ball back. Managed to knock it for Small. Did well, Menham. Cluna, tidy piece of football from the Central Coast Mariners just to keep possession. Now they need it coming forward. Wachowski's ball over the top. Oh, there might have been an elbow or a forearm in the back there. Play on for now, though, say the referee. Smythe, and there's runners coming towards that one. Kalisic getting back in the nick of time again. Menham's continued to get forward from the back during this second half. He's been more adventurous since half-time, and he's won his team an attacking throw. Another one of the few Canberra products in the starting lineup tonight for Lucas Villela. Lovely touch from Niakuru, who won the penalty in the first half, but he's turned that one over. Como pretty easily cut out. Cluna goes all the way back to his goalkeeper. Seen a little bit of that. Both teams have been keen to try and keep possession as much as been possible. Pressing to win it back when they lose it. Two very similar styles taking on one another this evening. See, it's leading to tidy pieces of work like that fairly often. Another sharp piece of interplay between the Sky Blues, but Cluna did well to get back and tidy up for the Mariners. Once again, they go all the way back to their goalkeeper. Been a bit of late 80s football about that, in terms of how good both goalkeepers are with their feet. Lovely turn from Quintal. Can he find the telling cross? Well, he certainly can. An unfortunate moment for the Mariners. And Andre Parks, who sticks it into his own net, but Sydney FC won't care about that. They've got the goal that gives them the lead. After trailing 1-0, they lead 2-1. Quintal, the architect, and he'll take the credit. It was his bit of enterprise that sent over the cross after beating a couple on the right. And Parks was the unfortunate man to knock it into his own net. We've seen the difference that Thiago Quintal can make for this Sydney FC side, and he's shown us a flash of it again there. Brilliant run, which the Mariners didn't deal with. And ultimately, it's one of their own who's given Sydney FC the lead. So just as Sydney FC had to respond after half-time, now the Mariners have got to cook something up, or they'll be headed back up the highway with nothing. Those defensive issues that have plagued them a little over the first month of the season come back to bite them again. Oh, Matti did well to win that one and step in. His opposite fullback Menham did well. Matti's won it back. Now a chance for France to stretch his legs. He got all the excitement started for Sky Blues fans in the early stages of this first half when he got the equaliser. Well taken finish when it was put on a plate for him by Jacob Brazzetti. Still had a lot to do, including beating Jack Wachowski, which is easier said than done. Flowing towards Callahan, it's not really dealt with. Quintal sniffing around there again. He's managed to get on the football. Held up this time by Parks. All over the top. Callahan attacking it. Deng didn't clear. Brazzetti saved initially and then tapped in. It's 3 in a matter of minutes for Sydney FC. They have turned this game on its head after half time. Brazzetti, the architect of two of them. It was his shot which forced the parry from Wachowski. And they've got a third. All three of the Sky Blues attackers really getting involved after the break. And Thiago Quintal, after setting up the second, is on the end of the third. The Mariners not able to deal with a blue wave that has come at them in this second half. Couple of changes coming for both sides. Ayuk Mao will make his way on for Sydney FC. It's going to be Alex Guntunis, who I mentioned was a possibility for the Mariners to come off the bench, who's now joining Deng at the back. He's replaced the man who gave the Sydney FC the lead, Andre Parks, who's been removed, the 17-year-old Kaljasic in there, and they've just got the momentum and the wind in their sails now, the hosts. Can the Mariners turn the tide? It's Cicluna. He's been at the heart of so many good things, but Kaljasic has been a similar story at the back for Sydney FC tonight, wearing the captain's armband now after Jake Rose's departure. He has been the leader at the back for them tonight. And if the second was the one that really flipped the impetus in this game, it's the third that might just be the sealer of 3 points and a result for Sydney FC. Starting run forward, Marin France, who got the scoring started for Sydney FC tonight. Wanted the throw in, but it wasn't forthcoming from the officials. Lucas Smythe's frustrations. He opened the scoring for the Central Coast Mariners tonight from the penalty spot. Getting a little bit frustrated with some of his teammates. Wants that ball upfield to him a little bit more quickly. I mentioned the Mariners have been a little bit too keen for my liking to move the ball backwards when they'd won it in the second half. Now they've got no choice but to go forward. Cicluna goes down under the challenge, and he wanted the free kick, but he wasn't given it. It's Ayuk Mal now for Sydney FC. Has to have plenty in reserve to bring off the bench, although that wasn't his finest piece of work. Nkoma going for it. There are appeals for handball, but Niankuru's in the box again. It's Don Niankuru. Oh, and he was looking for a player in yellow. Just didn't emerge from amongst a forest of blue. Still the attack alive, though, for the visitors. Has to whip that ball in. Matisse has got a difficult ball to deal with. He's bailed out by Lockie Middleton in the end. Oh, that's a very clever piece of work on the far side from Harry Menham. He's driving towards goal now for the Mariners. Didn't really have anyone in the box to aim for. It was a ball more in hope than anticipation. Deng, and on the first touch from Guntunis is a rather agricultural one. It's worked out just fine, though. Lucas Smythe one-on-one and tried to square it. Why didn't he go for goal? Niankuru keeps it alive. Oh, and there was a challenge in there. Kept his feet. The second one might have gone the other way, if anything. And now there are numbers forward for Sydney FC. End-to-end stuff here. It's France. Just slipped at the vital moment, kept the football, and then his pass was rather lacking. Game starting to open up in this second half as the Mariners chase it, and the Sky Blues sense there's more opportunities to get in behind. Quintal showing us his class again. Skips past two like they weren't there. It's Thiago Quintal for Sydney FC. He sits the defender down. It would have been one of the goals of the year. Stuck back in and saved by Wachowski. Action aplenty in this second half. What a 10 minutes we've had here. A game that was just, well, almost ambling along has sprung to life. And what a chance it was in the end, really, for Will Kennedy. In fact, I've got that one wrong. It was Sam Lancaster coming onto the ball. Kennedy not with us yet tonight. Lancaster's first meaningful touch, a shot on goal, and one he might feel when he watches the replay that he could have done better with. Strike in the end straight at Wachowski made his job rather easy. The Mariners need to capitalise on some of this madness because they will feel this might be the best period of the game to get in the match as we have just 15 minutes left to play here at the Illington Sports Centre. Just a little bit more than that. France got the wrong side of Deng initially. Did well to hold him up. Still both got hands on one another. Advantage now played by referee Merchant. Nice ball from Lancaster. Callahan's touch let him down. Kaljasic trying to win it back for him. That's exactly what he did. And now it's Sam Lancaster again. getting into a scramble with the Mariners substitute, Jordan Small, who did well. And then a poor turnover from a man who's been so good tonight, Menham. Puts a rare foot wrong. In fact, it wasn't him. It was Ben Mewett. It was Ben Mewett. Again, that's been fairly easy to keep track of. I have to say, from a commentary perspective, it's just sprung into life, and there's action aplenty. Lots to try and keep up with. Hope you're enjoying it on the Football New South Wales YouTube page tonight. It has turned into quite a last half hour. How about the confidence of Tyler Williams just to dribble it out of defence. And turned over. Kalisic is going to have to try and bail him out again. Kuru was trying to turn with it, but left the ball behind. Kinsale with a, well, it was almost an arrogant touch just to keep possession for Sydney FC. Why not have the arrogance when you're playing it like he is this evening? He's the man who's really turned the game, setting up the second before scoring the third, and they're in behind through Ayuk Mao. It was a lazy challenge. He went straight down, and now it's a penalty apiece. Harry Menham caught the wrong side, lunging into the tackle, and there was only going to be one decision. Ayuk Mao off the bench to win the penalty. And now he might just be set to take the responsibility for the spot kick as well. He certainly is. Man who didn't see too much time in first grade last season. Featured in fits and starts for Jimmy Van Wieren. I'm not sure this is exactly who the bench was taking the penalty kick either. Nice to have the luxury of a 3-1 lead in this moment. And Mao earned the penalty, so he shrugged off his teammates to take it as well. Faces up to one of the best young goalkeepers in the country, in Jack Wachowski. It's Ayuk Mao, and it's saved by Wachowski. The rebound, saved again. Brilliant piece of goalkeeping to keep the Mariners in the match. Well, Mao took responsibility. I'm not sure whether he'll be receiving a ticking off from the coaching staff later on. But for now, you have to credit the save from Jack Wachowski, who's answered every real question that's been asked. There's not much he could have done about any of the three goals. Chance for Sydney FC still through Nkomo, who fouled Don Niakuru in his urgency to win the ball back. The Mariners just losing their heads a little here, pushing the ball forward with almost too much urgency. Pavlicic, pretty simple clearance for him. Marin France, who got the first of Sydney FC goals. That was the equaliser at the start of their second half. Sydney FC have looked like a different team since the break. One re-energised and reinvigorated by that early goal. Run over the top of the Mariners as the 90 minutes has worn on. The team off the two-day turnaround. And perhaps that still leaves a door open for the Mariners, knowing that their opponents have not had quite as much recovery time. Deng with a commanding win. He's been probably the most impressive of those in yellow tonight. Did well to not only win the challenge against Thiago Kinsale, but also win the throw. Kinsale just holding his upper left leg, which is heavily strapped. That doesn't mean something a little bit more serious, particularly after the performance he's put in tonight. Trickles behind for a Sydney FC goal kick, and last we have just a little bit of calm. That's not been the regular standing of this game in the second half. It has been all action. Two teams that were feeling each other out in the first half have really come out of their shells and put on a show for us in the second. Kinsale linking up with his midfield. Middleton was trying to spring away from the trap. And it was Mewett that did very well. Still going forward. Smythe. The Nkuru's Darted out to the left-hand side. He'll look to get on his right. Oh, now there was a leg in there. Stayed on his feet, though, Niankuru. Plays the ball over the top. Guntunas has gone over to retrieve it and won his side another corner. Got Justin Davies out. Terrific reporter typing away next to me. This match report is rather longer than it was half an hour ago. Central Coast Mariners to whip this one in. It's Cicluna's ball, deep, beyond everyone in yellow. You can read all the coverage across the NPL New South Wales websites as well as all our social pages. Go and give us a follow at NPL New South Wales on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook, whichever is your preferred social media platform. Niankuru again, he's still causing headaches for the Sydney FC defence. They just can't handle his first step. A couple of step overs there to draw the challenge and then going down under it. Had a pretty decent shout for a penalty had he elected to go down a couple of minutes ago. Instead he's won his side a free kick in a very dangerous area. Chimneys move up from South Australia, aren't they? Happy the Mariners that they found him. My goodness, what a player. So dang similarly, the Mariners scouting network has picked up some impressive youngsters that, given the history of the club, you figure will be featuring in the A-League men's in no time at all. Couple over this one. Smythe looking for something off the training ground and had far too much weight on it for Lucas Cicluna. Trying something creative to break down the Sydney FC team, who haven't had a lot of defending to do in the second half. They've still looked a little bit loose when the Mariners have been able to throw consistent waves of attacks at them, but that's not been the case in the second half. Really struggled to deal with the pace and directness of Sydney FC in the second half after they were probably a little too keen to keep possession of the football in the first. Lucas Smythe, well, with a fair bit of gamesmanship here, I would say, to prevent Sydney FC from restarting the play, but this side are the one that trailed by 2 goals, so I don't think they'll be too unhappy with that. All it is to fix up a shoelace by the looks of things. But a short delay. Haven't been able to get to you the rest of the games that we do have available. I've given it a couple of cracks. Marconi against RP Leichhardt is the Derby d'Italia tomorrow night at Marconi Stadium. That won't be one to be missed. All these 7 o'clock kickoffs. The Western Sydney Wanderers taking on Spirit FC. And Manly United taking on Rockdale Illingdon. That's slightly later at 15:15. Before Sunday, Blacktown City taking on the Wollongong Wolves at 3. Sydney United 58 against Hills at 5. And then at 7:15, it's the first return, well, the first ever at this level, St George derby between St George City and St George FC at Penshurst Park. Nice little split of the kickoffs tomorrow. You can take all those in if you're as much of an NPL New South Wales fan as we are here at Football New South Wales. Nice bit of scheduling to make all those watchable over the course of a Sunday afternoon. That's with a cold refreshment in hand and maybe a barbecue going in the background. Sounds very ideal given the weather we're expecting in Sydney over the weekend. Be able to find all those games where you found this one on the Football New South Wales YouTube page, as well as the full slate of NPL New South Wales women's fixtures coming up across Sunday afternoon. Matches of the round in the League One men's and League One women's as well this weekend. So much football, hard to keep up. Last double change coming for Sydney FC. And it's Marin France who got the scoring started, his second goal of the season, and Thiago Quintal, who finished it off after setting up the second on own goal. He converted the third to give Sydney FC this 3-1 lead which they still hold deep into the second half. Just booted away by Guntunis. Anywhere but here, he says. Over the top, Menem's chasing back, and Ayuk Mao, who's missed a penalty since all of that, after winning it himself. Missing it's probably a bit harsh. It was a very good save from Jack Wachowski in the Mariners' net to keep them somewhat in this tie. That ball has escaped, which is just going to eat a couple more seconds off the clock here for Sydney FC. Brody Merchant, the diligent official that he is, I'm sure will find time to add it all back on, but will feel for the Mariners like precious seconds are ticking off the clock. Matty on that far side to take the throw, looking for a man to feet. Chance here for Sydney FC to add on to their leads. Come to Richard and Como. Nicholas Alfaro is the man he was trying to find. It's come back to Nkomo. A couple of Mariners touches. Lancaster just opening up the field to Tyler Williams. And now Matty. Looking over the top. It's always difficult to get the weight on those passes right when you're playing in a direct line. It couldn't be reeled in. Very much running out for the Mariners, who took the lead tonight. About 10 minutes before the break, Lucas Smythe opening the scoring from the penalty spot. It's all turned sky blue since then. It's very much to their defensive setup late in the half, but then since then, pace and quality, with which they've moved the ball in their attacking third, it's not been able to be dealt with by the Mariners. That was a very late challenge from Kalisic. He's going to find himself a late booking. Wasn't any intent in the challenge on Jordan Small, but it certainly left its mark. Stretching for the ball out of control. That's the sort of thing referees are looking for all the time in situations like that. And now Sydney FC skipper goes into the book. Side turned over. That's not what the Mariners were looking for from Paragali. He's been enthusiastic from right full-back tonight, but he's probably slipped into a couple more of those challenges than his team would have liked. Adam Pavlicic, so much experience for a goalkeeper his age, is just going to take all the time he feels is necessary to get the ball back in play. It won't be short, I can give you that clue. Even better, it's resulted in a Sky Blues throw. Callahan, who's got through a lot of work tonight, he's really been the only Sydney FC forward not rewarded with a goal or an assist of some sort. For the Mariners to give us a grandstand finish, but as this second half has worn on, the threat of Donny Akuru has just been negated little by little. Sydney FC seem to have figured out his pattern of attack. Ayuk Mao's doing the direct running down the other end. Felt he was caught, the referee disagreed, and to be fair to him, I said he thought he was caught, but there was no appeal as he fell to the ground. Menem, I feel like Lucas might have strayed there. Couldn't get to the ball first though, so Sydney FC conceding the throw. It's taken quickly and cleverly. A very good strike, which Pavlicic had to go at full stretch to save. And managed to hold on to as well. Beautifully struck by Lucas Shakluna. He's proven hard beating in this second half, the Sydney FC goalkeeper. That was a superb piece of work between the sticks. Well, if you ever worry about the goalkeepers Australia are producing, which has not been a worry for Australian football over the years. Just take a look at the two young men between the sticks in this game tonight. See them in sky blue colours and the colours of the Mariners at some stage in the near future, I'd posit. Wachowski's already made his A-League debut, as has Pavlicic. See both of them as teammates in Australian colours not too long from now. Such has been the quality of their work this evening. Nice touch from Alfaro. No, straight offside. Mariners keen to get on with it, chasing these two goals. They're about to make their final sub of the night as well. Prayak Tapa being readied by the Mariners bench. Started in that win against Hills United last weekend. Sydney FC's form is going to look absolutely all over the place to those not watching their games. 0-0 draw first up, a 2-0 win over Manly United, a 3-1 loss, a 2-1 loss, sorry, to St George, and a 4-2 win over Hills. Up and down, it's been a roller coaster ride at the start of this season for the young Sky Blues. The Mariners are going to fall to 1 win and 3 losses unless they can find 2 goals late here. Temperature's just starting to drop a little here at the Illington Sports Centre. Whipped straight in after the whistle from referee Merchant. Lobbed back in, that's going to be a fairly easy catch for Pavlicic. And there are Sydney FC players streaming forward in the space vacated. Callahan on tired legs. You could see that as he made sure he held up the football. He wasn't going to win the foot race, that was a smart piece of football. And Como's ball inside to Middleton, who similarly got through almost 180 minutes in 3 days, and he's still got enough energy to win the sliding challenge and release Ayuk Mao. Dancing feet, he's still going. What a mazy run this is from Ayuk Mao. Has it got a finishing touch? And it's fallen into the back of the net. A second own goal of the night for the Mariners. So unfortunate, but Ayuk Mao's mazy run results in a 4th for Sydney FC, whose domination in this second half is given its exclamation point. His first run into the area ended with a penalty. He wasn't able to finish, but this one's knocked into the back of the net by the Mariners. A second own goal late in the day. And the air has gone out of them. Sydney FC headed for their 3rd win of this young season. Mariners looking for consolation now. Chance for Cicluna, and Pavlicic shows us his skill again. Reaching high to tip over the crossbar. Cicluna must be wondering what he's got to do to beat him. Effort after effort palmed away by Pavlicic in this second half from the Mariners midfielder. And so the man who forced the save is over to take the corner. Cicluna again, and Pavlicic didn't get to that one, but it was through a crowd of bodies. Smythe got his head to the ball. Remember him scoring from a not dissimilar position in Sky Blue last season at Cromer Park against Manly United. He was, of course, a Mossman FC junior. Not able to finish that one in a similar scenario. And so now Sydney FC will just play to see time off the clock. Ball in behind them. Might be looking to add a 5th here. How this game has turned. The Mariners led it 1-0 at half-time. Not been in the contest in the second half. No time to be added on at the end by referee Merchant. And his final whistle confirms a thumping victory, really, for Sydney FC. It didn't look like it was going to be that way at half-time. Lucas Smythe's penalty had given the Mariners the lead at that stage. But a torrent of attack from the young Sky Blues in the second half, rung rewards. The first goal coming from a smart piece of work from the two wingers. Brazetti setting up his counterpart, Marin France, who got his second goal of the season. An own goal from the Mariners followed on the back of some good work from Thiago Quintal. Andre Parks, the unfortunate party before Quintal himself got the third. And after Ayuk Mao had won and had a penalty saved by Jack Wachowski, his mazy run ended in a second own goal and a fourth of the night for Sydney FC. More than enough to give them their third victory of the season and send them back up into the top half of the table on the night. Plenty of football still to come over the weekend. We hope you can join us for it on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. But for now, from the Illingdon Sports Centre, it's good night. The final score, Sydney FC 4, Central Coast Mariners 1.